The 2024 City Council Candidate Forum. First, I want to acknowledge the Millbrae Community Foundation. The Community Foundation has underwritten the recording and broadcast of tonight's event, so that's going to help more people access vital information before they vote. I also want to acknowledge the City of Millbrae for its general support of the event, and especially our City Clerk, Elaine Tran. And lastly, the League of Women Voters has organized the event, and Kathy Wheeler from the League will explain the details of the forum and introduce you to the candidates. With that, let's get the evening started.
Is this going to work? Everybody can hear me? Yes? So let's do a call to order and welcome everyone. Thank you for coming out to this candidates forum tonight. First, I have some announcements. Please turn off or silence your cell phones so the candidates are not interrupted when they speak. To keep a neutral and nonpartisan atmosphere, the candidates agreed to our policy that no literature, clothing, or other material associated with a candidate's campaign is permitted in the room. This forum is also being broadcast live on MCTV. The League, the sponsor, and the candidates have agreed to use the recording from beginning to end with no editing in compliance with FCC rules. Unauthorized videos, such as cell phone videos, also are not allowed because the FCC requires that a forum recording must be presented in its entirety. My name is Kathy Wheeler, and I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of North and Central San Mateo County. And I want to give out a thank you to the Millbrae Community Forum and their president, Maureen Davis, who you just met, for sponsoring this forum tonight. We appreciate their interest and efforts in presenting events that increase voters' knowledge about the candidates and the issues. I would also like to acknowledge Millbrae's City Clerk, Elaine Tran, for calendaring and providing this facility for the forum, and all sorts of help just before we got started. The League of Women Voters is a national nonpartisan volunteer organization. We welcome people of all ages. Our education mission is to encourage your active and informed participation in government at every level. The League does not endorse or oppose candidates or political parties. Our sole interest is in helping voters gain fair and unbiased information to make an informed decision on or before Election Day. The purpose of a candidate forum is to provide an opportunity for all the candidates to be heard at one time and to be questioned by you, the voters. Bringing the candidates and voters together face-to-face enables voters to be better informed about their election decisions. So thank you for coming out to learn more about the candidates and asking them questions. And I'll let you know that we did ask for questions ahead of time via email, and I have over 40 questions, so Millbrae has lots of questions. Tonight you will hear from the candidates for the Millbrae City Council. Millbrae has district elections. This means candidates are elected by district instead of an at-large election. There are 2 candidates for 1 seat in District 1. There are 2 candidates for 1 seat in District 3, and there is 1 candidate for 1 seat in District 5. And the term of office for all districts is 4 years. This event provides a nonpartisan setting for voters to hear the candidates for all the districts. You may ask a question that is pertinent to your district, but we will have all the candidates answer the question. After all, if elected, they will be working as one governing body. Supporters or opponents of any candidate in the audience will not be allowed to demonstrate their preferences for that candidate, either through questions or responses. Also, please hold your applause until the end of the forum, when we will thank all of the candidates. So the candidates by district are, and this is District 1, is Ghassan Shamieh, Stephen Rainaldi. District 3 is You Xue and Ruben Holober. And District 5 is Anders Fung. So these are the ground rules for the forum. The rules for the forum are as follows. We will start with opening statements. Each candidate will have 3 minutes for an opening statement. We will then have a question period. During the question period, each candidate will have 1 minute to answer. All candidates will have an equal time to speak to the question, even if the question is addressed to one candidate. And then we will end with closing statements. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for a closing statement. Our timekeeper tonight is another league volunteer, Eileen Estabrook. The timekeeper will hold up warning signs when the candidate has 1 minute. So go ahead and hold that up for us so everybody sees it. Then 30 seconds left for the allotted times of opening statements. And for questions, candidates will only get the 30-second warning because it's only a minute. At the end of the time, the timekeeper will hold up the stop sign until the candidate stops speaking. And candidates, you may finish your sentence, but you can't finish a paragraph, okay? We also have 2 ushers tonight, Zareen Sheng and Mia Clapham. There's Marie, there's Zareen in the back and Mia. Questions for the audience will be in writing, and the ushers have index cards that you can write your question on. So raise your hand and someone will bring you a card and a pencil to you. Write legibly and try to keep your questions brief. Questions of a personal nature and personal invective will be out of order. Raise your hand if you need a question card and when you're ready to have an usher pick up your question. And for tonight, normally we would also give because this is being broadcast live, we would also do questions via our email. But since we already have 40+ questions, okay, I'm going to just rely on extra questions from the audience. Okay, great. This may even give us, that was fast, so we may have a little extra time for extra questions. Okay, opening statements. So before we started, I had each of the candidates draw a token with a number on it. So the opening statements are basically luck of the draw. And to that, we will be starting with You Xue.
Thank you, Kathy. My name is Yo-Yo. I live on Hemlock Avenue, and I'm running in District 3 to be your next council member. My campaign is all about improving our community and getting things done. I have so many great ideas to bring to the table, but because I only have 3 minutes, I'm just going to share my top 3 priorities with you. Number 1, I'm going to jumpstart our downtown by forming a business improvement district. A business improvement district is basically like a second city council. It creates a geographical district that's led only by business owners and landlords in that district. These are people who have a real stake in revamping our businesses. It's what Burlingame Avenue did 20 years ago. It's what San Mateo's downtown did 40 years ago. And I think the results there speak for themselves. Our elected officials have been talking about getting this done for over a decade already. We need organization, we need vision, and we need diversity in our downtown business community. The small businesses there have been let down again and again, and they can't handle more broken promises. We need to walk the walk, not just talk the talk. Millbrae residents can trust me, the only downtown business owner sitting up here, to apply my 10 years of experience to finally get this important initiative done. Number 2, I'm the only candidate in District 3 that has promised that I will never, let me repeat, never support nor vote in favor of any type of home key project. Last Thursday, Ruben and I participated in an interview with the Daily Journal newspaper, and he said something outrageous that I think we need to talk about tonight. He said that we can convert an 11-unit apartment building on my street, Hemlock Avenue, into a homeless shelter. Who's going to pay for that? Who's going to provide the services needed for these new residents in our city? So that's a key difference between the two of us. I will have no problem standing up to outside interests. I will protect Millbrae's budget and our public safety services from devastating cuts. I will say no to stupid and wasteful proposals that will cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars of desperately needed tax dollars every year. Number 3, I'm going to renew our focus on enhancing pedestrian and bicyclist safety. Our residents should feel safe walking and biking in their neighborhoods and to feel confident that their kids can do the same. I will help secure grants to identify the most dangerous roads in our city and take action to improve the safety of our public infrastructure, roads, and sidewalks. I'm very happy to be here with all of you tonight, and I look forward to a constructive discussion with everyone else here on stage. I have 30 seconds left. That's it for me. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, You Xue.
Xue, yes.
Candidate number 2 is going to be Ghassan Shamieh.
Good evening, neighbors and community members. I would first like to start by thanking the League of Women's Voters on hosting tonight's forum. Nights like these are the epitome of a democracy, and I'm proud to take part in it. My name is Ghassan Shamieh, and I am proud to be here today as a candidate for Millbrae City Council District 1. Millbrae has always been my home. It's where I grew up, where I'm raising my 2 young children, where my family has deep roots. I come from a family with a long history of small business ownership, which has taught me the value of hard work, responsibility, and the importance of community. Over the years, I've witnessed the strong sense of connection that makes Millbrae such a special place to live, but I've also seen the division that has emerged recently, and it's clear that we need to come together to heal those divides. As a father, I want my children to grow up in a city that is united, where neighbors look out for one another, where we collaborate to make Millbrae the best it can be. That's why I'm running. I'm not just invested in the future of this city, I'm personally connected to it, because the decisions we make today will shape the community for my children and yours. In my career as an attorney and as a small business owner, I've learned the importance of collaboration, listening, and finding solutions that work for everyone. Whether it's negotiating a legal case or managing a team, leadership means bringing people together, understanding different perspectives, and finding common ground. That's exactly the kind of collaborative leadership that I plan to bring to the City Council. We are facing critical issues, whether it's ensuring public safety, improving infrastructure, or advocating for our elders, our schools, and our students. I have concrete ideas to address these pressing concerns, ideas that are pragmatic, ideas that are attainable. I hope to get into the specifics of these plans tonight, which include, but are not limited to, ways to improve the infrastructure and public safety in a responsible and efficient manner. I also believe that transparency and accountability are key to building trust in local government. I vow to ensure that all of our residents' voices are heard, regardless of the opinions they may hold. I vow to make sure that our community feels like they are a part of the process and a part of the decision-making that affects their daily lives. Thoughtful leadership requires collaboration and engagement, and I'm confident that my background has equipped me with the skills to make that possible. With me, you will have a transparent, committed partner, a person who values each and every resident. Through collaboration, we can rebuild trust, restore cooperation, and foster the kind of unity that Millbrae has always seen. I'm excited about the future we can create together. Thank you.
Thank you. Our third opening statement will come from Anders Fung.
Good evening, distinguished guests, and most importantly, my fellow Millbrae residents. I wanted to thank the League of Women Voters for organizing this forum tonight and allowing me to have an opportunity to address all of you publicly. And serving as your mayor and your council member has been the greatest honor of my life. And during the last 4 years, Millbrae has accomplished quite a lot. We've successfully recovered from the pandemic from the 2020, and our TOT and our sales tax revenue have been recovered and are now exceeding the pre-pandemic level. We've successfully diversified our economic base and tax structure, deepening our reach into retail, hospitality, life science, EV technology, and professional services. We've completed the gateway development, and we were provided 400 units of housing where 100 of them are permanently affordable. And we're looking forward to having the San Mateo County Transit District to occupy the gateway office site to be the new headquarters where hundreds of executive and administrative employees will be becoming part of our economic base. We've completed a new hotel with over 90% of occupancy that will contribute to our TOT. We're quickly, as a city, becoming the life science center of the Bay Area. And we're becoming the homes of international companies when we've never been in the past. And between the life science development and the SamTran, and Millbrae we're looking forward to bringing thousands of new high-quality jobs and creating economic opportunities that our city has never seen in the past. And most importantly, despite many cities and counties are suffering from a structural deficit, Millbrae has a balanced budget. And it is my expectation and my priority to continue to ensure Millbrae is fiscally strong and responsible. And in terms of quality of life, we've made record investment in the east side of El Camino Real, with over $3 million of funding was dedicated to park improvement, storm drain, and access improvement. We've made significant investment in public safety. We've successfully obtained funding from county to implement homeless outreach programs and help hundreds of individuals to achieve temporary and permanent housing. In terms of growth, Millbrae is now recognized as the fastest growing city in the county and among the top 10 cities by percentage growth in terms of multifamily housing. And in terms of regional work in the last 4 years, I've been representing Millbrae on Peninsula Clean Energy and received over $700,000 in grants and loans to help put in EV programs and more solar upgrade and be more sustainable. But out of all this work and incredible journey in the last 4 years, what makes me most proud is that I personally witnessed the people of Millbrae has grown more united, more engaged, and more diverse, more inclusive, and more positive. Our state, our city is stronger than we've ever been, and this is what a government should do. And I sincerely ask for your support and involvement for the next 4 years as we embark on this journey together once again. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Our fourth opening statement would be Stephen Rainaldi.
Thank you, Kathy, Millbrae residents. And thank you to League of Women's Voters for putting this event on. This is a really critical time in Millbrae. It's vitally important to bring residents together, which is what my People Power campaign has been all about. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. First and foremost, I didn't want to run for city council. A number of residents and elected officials sought me out that I've engaged with for over the last 2 years and emphasized how important it was to have a candidate like myself who truly cares about Millbrae and is there for us in a time of need. I've lived and grown up in Millbrae for over 43 years. My friends and family are all here. I'm the son of an immigrant father and a first-generation Italian-American mother. They worked hard for years to raise me and my 2 brothers. My father is a union carpenter, and my mother is a working mom as a 3rd grade school teacher for over a decade. Our upbringing was modest because even back then the cost of living was high, but they still found a way to raise our family and provide us with a wonderful and safe childhood. An experience which I'd like to preserve and see possible for all residents. Memories of going to schools like Green Hills and Taylor's, spending time after school and on weekends playing Lions baseball, AYSO soccer, and participating in bowling leagues at Millbrae Bowl. These are all treasured experiences made possible by a safe, inclusive, family-friendly community, which led me to meeting many of my best friends, who still remain my best friends 30-plus years later. It's no secret that Millbrae's changed a lot in those 30 years. We've seen many businesses and landmarks like Millbrae Movie Theater, Shaw's Ice Cream, Lucky's, and most recently Round Table Pizza come and go. We've also, over that time, become one of the largest transportation hubs west of the Mississippi. With that growth comes growing challenges and opportunities, such as maintaining affordable housing, easing traffic, improving our economic development, and ensuring our public safety, all while maintaining the quality of life residents have come to know and expect. These challenges won't be easy, but my close to 2 decades worth of professional experience in business development, where I successfully helped companies improve their bottom lines, coupled with the local relationship building and local community work I've participated in over the last 2 years, have made me confident that I am the right candidate to serve on the council at the right time. With that being said, I thank everyone for joining us tonight, and thank you all for your consideration, and look forward to a productive candidate forum. Thank you.
Thank you. And our fifth candidate opening statement comes from Ruben Holober.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum tonight. My name is Ruben Holober, and I'm running for City Council District 3. I previously served on the City Council from 2013 through 2022 and served as mayor twice. I grew up here in Millbrae and attended our local public schools. As a lifelong Millbrae resident, I've been blessed to have been shaped by a caring community. I want to ensure that our city stays that way for generations to come, as my wife Amy and I raise our son here. My vision has always been to position Millbrae as a competitive economic center while maintaining our small town feel and quality of life. With the recent recall of 2 council members and 2 others stepping down due to term limits, there's a leadership void in Millbrae. After urging from many community members, I decided to step up because now, more than ever, Millbrae needs a council member who's ready to serve on day 1 without on-the-job training. I'm running to build on a record of results from 2 terms in office. During that time, I worked with the council to rebuild the recreation center. I helped craft the general plan update, housing element, and station area specific plan. I ensured that the fire department merger with Central County Fire was successful and kept the Crestview Fire Station open. I enhanced funding for law enforcement, for traffic safety and downtown foot patrols, and for license plate readers to deter and catch criminals. I negotiated with developers for additional community funding and affordable housing. And I served as mayor during one of our darkest years, 2020 and the COVID-19 pandemic, making sure that our residents were kept informed and had access to vital services. The approved plans and projects are starting to pay dividends for our city. The Gateway development opened last year with 400 housing units, a hotel, and soon will be home to Samtrans headquarters and several shops and restaurants. Icon Therapeutics will soon move into the life science campus under construction by Millbrae Avenue, bringing hundreds of good-paying jobs to Millbrae. These projects will provide critical revenues necessary to maintain public safety services and modernize our infrastructure. I will continue to pursue projects that are wins for our community, but I will oppose projects that are detrimental to Millbrae, such as the county's proposal to convert the La Quinta into homeless supportive housing, as we can't afford the revenue loss from the hotel closure. In addition to my experience on the council, I earned a master's degree in public policy from UC Berkeley, and I work as a budget analyst for the city and county of San Francisco. I use the analytical lens as a council member to ensure efficient use of resources and prevent wasteful spending. I believe that I have the needed experience, pragmatism, and vision to guide Millbrae forward over the next 4 years in this time of unprecedented turnover. I hope to earn your confidence and your support. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, candidates. Now it's time for the candidates to answer your questions. I have received some, so remember, just raise your hand and the ushers will get you an index card so that you can write down a question. But like I said, I've got 7 pages of questions that I got from the community, and good questions. So each candidate, you'll have 1 minute to answer the question. And I already have varied the order in which you will be called upon to answer the question. So don't try to second guess what your order is. And if a question is addressed to a particular candidate, that candidate will be asked to answer first. The other candidates may respond if they wish. Okay? All right, so first question, and let's see. Okay, the first question, the Millbrae School District is one of the lowest funded school districts in the area, and I did fact check this. The school district is in the lower third. As a council member, how do you propose supporting our local schools? Please provide concrete examples. I'll repeat the question. As a council member, how do you propose supporting our local schools? Please provide concrete examples. And we will start with Anders Fung.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. The school has a ballot measure in front of us, and I have voted to support it. And this is the much needed funding that is going to continue to help our school and keep our children safe and improve the infrastructures within our school district to ensure that we have the best education second to none in this county and in the state. And in terms of concrete example, things that we have done in the past, as a council member, I voted to ensure that we continue to work with the school district in their fields and in improving their infrastructures and all of their facilities to ensure that they're well-maintained and then continue to be accessible to our children. And as a nonprofit, also be part of donating money to the school and building computer lab in Taylor School. So continue helping, ensuring that our children get the best education possible with the resources they need to succeed. Thank you.
Stephen Rainaldi.
Thanks, Kathy. I come from a family of public school teachers, and it's no surprise that many young families move to Millbrae for our wonderful education system. Just last weekend, I met a Meadows teacher who was so proud that she was able to raise her school's score from a 6 out of 10 to 8 out of 10. So I fully support Measure J. It's a measure that's going to bring much needed money in to repair the actual schools themselves, fix leaking roofs, give labs the critical new material that they need so teachers can make sure these students have every advantage possible to lead successful lives in their careers.
Thank you. Ruben Holober.
Thank you. I agree with the last two comments about supporting Measure J. That will be very helpful to fix aging infrastructure at our school district. There was also recently a parcel tax that was approved, I believe, last year that is helping to offset the limited funding for the school district. Something else that I did in the past, when I was on the council, I was the chair of the San Mateo County Libraries JPA that oversees the county libraries, including our library here in Millbrae. And during the pandemic, we decided to increase funding by about $900,000 for summer learning programs. Students have trouble during the summer. They lose a lot of what they learned during the school year, and they're not nearly the same when they get back at the beginning of the school year. And that was exacerbated during the pandemic. We were able to open up more spots during those summer programs, and I would like to see that continue going forward. Thank you.
Our fourth answer comes from You Xue.
Thank you for the question, Kathy. I think this is the dissonance that we sometimes experience. We live in such a privileged community. We have families with living in $2 million homes, but our students are struggling. And the cause of this, right, is the fact that it's way above our pay grade here in the city of Millbrae. We have Prop 13 passed in the Reagan years. This locked property tax is very low. And the consequence of that is that we have to have very dedicated parents work overtime to pretty much beg the community for support. I'd like that to change. I'd like that to be fixed, but I know the fix won't be easy. I'm going to continue to support economic development. We're going to increase our property tax base. We're going to increase our sales tax base. And we're going to create rapport within the community so that we can garner goodwill, and then use that goodwill to get our community to help buy into supporting our schools. That's all we can do for the time being, and I'll be consistent in that support. And I'll finish by saying all 5 candidates here support Measure J.
Thank you very much. Ghassan Shamieh.
As a proud product of Millbrae's public schools like Green Hills and Taylor, I proudly support Measure J wholeheartedly. And that is something something concrete that City Council can do, is publicly support Measure J, but also on a consistent and routine basis, support our schools' PTAs, support the MEF, Millbrae Education Foundation, of which I'm a proud corporate sponsor. Things like this, these PTAs and the MEF supplement the lack of funding that our schools receive. And so it's important that the schools and the school board know that they have allies on the City Council. And that's why I'm proud to have 4 or 5 endorsements from this school board, because they know that as a City Council person, I will be a staunch advocate for our schools and our students, ensuring that everybody gets the education that they deserve, and Millbrae students remain at the forefront of technology and success.
Thank you. On to our second question. Explain your understanding of the role of a city council member in promoting economic development, particularly small business. And in considering your answer, think about the effect of environmental sustainability and climate change on that answer. And we'll start with You Xue.
Thank you, Kathy. That's a huge question, so I'm going to try my best to answer as much as I can in 60 seconds. Millbrae needs a vision, and it's not something that we've had for the past decade. And once we have vision, then we can go and support small businesses. I have experience leading a small business in downtown Millbrae. I led that business through a very tumultuous period during the pandemic, made sure that we were open as a vital resource to our community who was going through lockdowns and mandated business closures. And economic development cannot come overnight. We can't force the Apple Store to come to town. You know, we need a long-term plan. As I mentioned, it starts from forming our BID. Once we have a business improvement district, once we have a council of business leaders and landowners, then we can attract more investment from developers. Then we can build the spaces that can bring in the retail and the diverse restaurants that we've always been talking about. So we can't even talk about step one until we talk about step zero. Thank you.
Thank you. Ruben Holober.
Thank you. Well, the council has a great deal of purview over land use decisions. The city has approved a general plan, a station area specific plan for the transit center, and also a plan for the El Camino corridor in downtown as part of the general plan. So the city, and because of that, we have now businesses that are coming in to the station area. We were able to clear some FAA regulations to, or airport land use regulations to allow bioscience to come in around the transit center. So these types of decisions, having that vision are important. I do think the council has had that vision over the past decade. And the question about environmental sustainability, we also have approved REACH codes. So new buildings that are built will have solar, they will have charging stations for electric vehicles, and they will not be reliant on natural gas usage. Thank you.
Ghassan Shamieh.
City Council has a crucial role in attracting development. It's supposed to attract, it's supposed to inspire and manage the development that happens in the city. With Millbrae being one of the fastest growing cities in the entire county, Millbrae has a lot of opportunity here. And so as a city council person, I would continue to attract the right kind of development in Millbrae, making sure that any development adheres to the highest standards of environmental policy possible, to make sure that our buildings are green, to make sure that the building itself does not have environmental implications. But we also need to keep in mind that small businesses are the backbone of our society and that we need to support them, and that new development should not leave out the mom and pop business owners of our city, because without them, Millbrae doesn't thrive.
Thank you. Anders Fung.
Thank you. Concrete example. Recently, I worked to revamp the chamber leadership, the Chamber of Commerce leadership, that will forever be better representatives to our small business community right here in our city. The job creation within life science, also bringing in the Samtran headquarters, will create new daytime population that will serve as our new economic base that will become our engine for our small business and providing the economic opportunity that our small business needs. I've been calling for and working on a density bonus program, local density bonus program that will help revitalize our downtown and creating new opportunities for our downtown core. These are concrete examples, things that I have done and will continue to enhance our small business community. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen Rainaldi.
Kathy, if you could please repeat the question.
Sure. Knew you were going to do that. I hit it. Explain your understanding of the role of a city council member in promoting economic development, particularly small business, and comment on how environmental sustainability and climate change may affect that kind of planning.
Thank you for the question. Small business owners are the backbone of our society, and we need to incentivize them to go green. So when it comes to remodeling a place, perhaps we offer incentives to go to electrification. I know our city infrastructure, we've been working towards that. We also have business improvement districts. So working with those property owners and business owners in a joint partnership with our city council to improve that area, whether it be cleaning the streets or even adopting what my friend Ann Schneider would love, a tree ordinance incentivizing trees in front of these businesses to help offset some of the carbon and also prevent cooling and control some of the noise pollution. Thank you.
Okay, our third question. And I've got a couple of questions on aspects of the job, so to speak. How knowledgeable are you on finance, labor, negotiations, transportation, housings, et cetera, all specifics that face our city? What's your plan to get the skills of being a city leader that you may not possess now? And if you are a current council member or have been in the past, what new skill are you going to try to attain? So the question is, how knowledgeable are you on those aspects of the job? And what's your plan to get the skills to be a good city leader? And I'll start with Ruben Holober.
So, those are all very important aspects of the job of being on the council. We do manage the city budget, we manage labor negotiations. I do have experience as a budget analyst in San Francisco, looking at budgets that are in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Labor negotiations, we do have work with the Teamsters Union that represents our city employees here. And I'm fortunate to have been endorsed by the Labor Council. I think I've worked well with them in the past to make sure that our employees are treated well here. New skill set, well, I don't know if this is a skill set perhaps, but I would like to see the city be more involved in Central County Fire going forward and having myself somehow be involved with that. We're currently a client to Central County Fire. We're not a member of the managing board, but I would like to see that and do whatever I can to improve my own skill set to be a part of that. Thank you.
Okay. Ghassan Shamieh.
I am new to city government, and I'll come out flat out and say that. But the beautiful part about serving on city council in a city like Millbrae is that no experience is necessary. Just over the past few days, we've seen a couple of city council meetings where our 3 current city council members reiterated that an experience is not required to serve. And in fact, they appointed 2 city council members who did not have prior city council experience. And so that's the beauty of a community like this, is that we can thrive on learning from each other's lived experiences. That your perspective and my background coming from the legal field and as a business owner can complement the other perspectives on this table, whether there's experience or not. So I think there's value from that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anders Fung.
Thank you for the question. I think skills comes in many different forms and many different expectations. Obviously, some of the skills can be acquired on the job. Some of the skills can be acquired through different educations, participating in many different regional activities, boards, Cal Cities, which, it's coming up next week. Many of those offer opportunities for learning and training. But most important skill, I would say, being a council member, being a representative of your city, is listening skill. Is the ability to listen to your constituents, listening to your voters, to your residents, knocking on doors, talking to folks, and actually connecting with folks and be able to represent them appropriately, assertively, in all forms, in all venues. I think that's the most important skill, and this is the skill that I have bring to the table and will continue to bring to the table for all of you. Thank you all.
Stephen Rainaldi.
Can you please repeat the question, Kathy?
Sure. This one. How knowledgeable are you on finance, labor, negotiations, transportation, housing, all specifics that face our city? What's your plan to get the skills of being a city leader that you may not possess now?
Thanks for the question, Kathy. This really plays to my strong suit as a candidate for city council. Over the last 2 years, I've built relationships with folks that sit on committees, local community leaders, and I'm fully endorsed by the full city council, as well as elected officials like former Senator Jerry Hill, our Assembly Member Pappen, as well as all the other council members and past council members. And it's because I show up to do the homework. The reality is when you start this job, you don't know what to fully expect. But by attending the meetings, Whether it be a planning commission meeting, a city council meeting, or going to these events, you learn, and you learn on the job. So that's my strong suit. Plus, I have real-world business experience of being able to sit down and deal with tough negotiations and try to find common ground. Thank you.
And You Xue.
Thank you, Kathy. I think the biggest skill I bring to the table has been forged by my nearly a decade of business experience, and that's goal setting and delivering performance. I started my restaurant here in Millbrae with my family 10 years ago. Since then, we received the Michelin Award called the Big Gourmand Award. Last month, I just opened my 5th restaurant. I'll have 10 restaurants by the end of next year. And I'm responsible for the well-being and the livelihoods of 60 employees, and I'm creating jobs in 2 states. I know what I want, and I know how to deliver, and I negotiate with people every day to make sure that we get the best deals, to make sure that we're being treated fairly, to make sure that we can create win-win situations. And I want to bring some of that experience and that stability in managing an operation like that to Millbrae. I want to use that experience to improve our downtown, to better connect with our residents, and to elevate the voices of all of our residents. Thank you.
Okay, our 4th question, and I think this one is sadly pertinent right now with the hurricanes in Florida and North Carolina. It has to do with making Millbrae disaster prepared. Okay, what's the role of the council members in ensuring that, including potential mudslides, sea level rise, earthquakes, of course, and then the after effects, no water, power, broadband, etc. So repeat the question, what's the role of the city council in ensuring that Millbrae will be prepared in case of an emergency? And we'll start with Ghassan Shamieh.
City council should absolutely serve in a leadership role should a natural disaster hit Millbrae. And it is inevitable that something happened, and we need to be prepared, and we need to be leaders in that effort. We have emergency response teams, but an initiative as city council member that I would like to put forward is giving residents the tools necessary, the items necessary to create go bags. So in the case of an emergency, there is a bag ready to go. I'm guilty of not having one right now, and that terrifies me. But as city council, I want to change that. I want to make sure that every single family here in Millbrae is prepared should a natural disaster happen, because that's the only way we're going to keep each other safe. And in addition, we have cut up the districts. We need to have district-specific evacuation routes. Should there be a fire, should there be some sort of incident, a clear path where all residents of the district know what is the safest, what are the optional routes to different safe points. Thank you.
Thank you. You Xue.
One of the biggest concerns on the top of my mind is flooding and the danger of flooding to our community. 2 members of the Glorioso family died near Christmas of last, I think it's 2 years ago now, when their car became submerged on Hillcrest Boulevard. And I think about that a lot. I think about what we could have done to have prevented that. And the answer is Millbrae is not prepared. Our residents on Landing Lane have to put up sandbags every year, and they have to evacuate their homes when our drainage is not sufficient. So we need to keep working on infrastructure. We need to keep lobbying for federal funding to address concerns regarding our 100-year floodplain. We have a 100-year floodplain in the neighborhood east of El Camino. That's why I've said it's so important that we elevate the voices of all of our residents, not just those that live on the hill, but rather those that live in the most underrepresented locations. And that's on top of everything that my colleague here has spoken about, earthquake preparedness. We need to continue partnering with CERT, and I plan to do all that once in office. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen Rainaldi.
Thank you, Kathy. It's incredibly important that we focus on sea level rise, as San Mateo County is one of the most susceptible places, if not the most susceptible shoreline within the state of California from suffering from the effects of sea level rise. so I fully support one shoreline. Secondly, I would work to make sure with SFO that they clean the canal, so that way we have proper drainage to avoid the east side problem that one of my colleagues so spoke about, which cost 2 residents their lives. I would also work with Central Fire to clear vegetation once a year to make sure we avoid any kind of wildfires. And most importantly, I would work on the east side specific plan because the east side deserves 2 entrances and 2 exits in case of an emergency. To think that there's only one street to get into some of these neighborhoods could cause an absolute catastrophe. Thank you.
Ruben Holober?
Thank you. CERT is a great program for getting members of the community to be able to prepare for disasters should they arise. Unfortunately, during the pandemic, they didn't really activate the CERT program much because many of the members were typically of the more vulnerable population, and they didn't want them to get involved. But we need to continue to work with them to make sure that our residents have the resources. The county has a program called Zone Haven that shows evacuation routes for pretty much, I think, as far as I know, everywhere in the county. So we need to be able to promote that, to share it with our residents here, no matter where they live. And then we also have to have evacuation centers that are ready. So we have, for example, at the Recreation Center, it's a solar building. If the power goes out, we could still have power in the building, but we have to have supplies there ready to go in case there is some type of emergency. Thank you.
And Anders Fung?
Thank you. In response to that question, I think our CCFD, Central County Fire Department, and our CERT team are key to the emergency and disastrous response. And therefore, it is extremely important for us that we work hard to pass our fire assessment, which we did earlier this year, to ensure we have sufficient resources available so that we can work with CCFD. And also, as Ruben has said a moment ago, we need a board seat, not 2 board seat on CCFD, so that we can ensure the CERT team is properly funded and properly trained, so that whenever there is any disastrous situations or emergency situation, that we can respond appropriately. Thank you.
Okay, on to our 4th question. What innovative funding sources would you explore for infrastructure projects without raising taxes? I'll repeat, what innovative funding sources would you explore for infrastructure projects without raising taxes? And we'll start with Stephen Rainaldi.
It's a great question, Kathy. I would work with our city staff and city manager to find immediate funding opportunities to explore. One funding opportunity that I'm really fond of would be paid parking. I know many people have concerns about it, but there are some benefits to it. One benefit is it expands on the parking that we already currently have and allows for higher turnover of those parking spots, so more people can come in and frequent these vendors and generate more additional revenue, and then use this revenue to hopefully offset and build a parking infrastructure so we can bring more people into our downtown and shop. Using also additional funding sources to replace some of these aging water lines as well. And if we do it over time and stick to our one dig policy, we can also lower our water bill because the break fixes that we're encountering are really driving up the cost. Thank you.
Anders Fung?
Thank you. Funding source is a great question. We've been, as a city, working with different grant funding opportunity, both from the state and the federal and the county, between OBAC funding that we're now going after. There's a new $60 million funding that just came up. And then there is calling for project right now in November. Been working with our city staff to go after these funding. I serve on Peninsula Clean Energy Executive Board and the Surplus Funds Committee, and we've been able to bring in over $800,000 between grant and interest-free programs to help our infrastructures on EVs and batteries and solar panel. And now serving on the TA, we'll continue to work with transportation agencies to provide greater funding so that we can ensure we have public safety around our transit area and provide greater accessibility. Thank you.
You Xue?
Thank you. No one here wants to raise taxes, and I don't think anyone here has proposed raising taxes. The answer to your question is, which is how do we improve infrastructure without raising those taxes, is create a wider tax base, right? If you take the same percentage, but instead of taking 9% of a grape, you take 9% of a watermelon, we're going to have more money. We're going to have more money to spend on everything we want to do, right? So I've said over and over again, and you're going to hear me say BID, BID, BID so many times tonight. My middle name is now BID. You know, we gotta do BID. Our downtown is going to, we have to focus on our small businesses and the new businesses that we've managed to attract at Gateway and at the Life Sciences Center. That's going to drive more tax revenue. And we need to protect our existing tax revenue sources. That's why I've come out so strongly against La Quinta. When we protect our existing revenue and think about ways to develop our existing sources of revenue by supporting our merchants, we'll have so much more money to spend on infrastructure. Thank you.
Ghassan Shamieh?
I think the question specifically called for creative ways to raise funds. And one of those tangible, pragmatic, attainable ways, in my opinion, is utilizing the vacant spaces that are available in our economic corridor, in our downtown Millbrae. And instead of penalizing property owners, why don't we incentivize new business owners, new entrepreneurs? Why don't we incentivize pop-up shops in the vacant spaces in our city, giving our youth, giving our community an opportunity to explore an idea for business ownership that our community might respond to. And I'm confident that our community is full of great ideas. And so there's an opportunity here to turn this pop-up shop into a permanent establishment. Because as I said earlier, when our small businesses thrive, we all thrive. And when we all thrive, we can apply that money gain from those new businesses to fix our fading infrastructure. Thank you.
Ruben Holober?
Thank you. You know, when I was on the council previously, we brought in that electronic billboard that's on 101, and that brings in roughly $500,000 a year in revenue to the city's general fund. I know the city has been doing legwork to put in a second billboard on the maintenance facility site, also next to 101. I don't know what the current status is of that, but I'd like to see that project be expedited to bring in more revenue to the city. And then we also have to begin to move forward on developing city-owned parcels. We need to get the lawsuit with high-speed rail settled so that the property that we have behind Peter's Cafe can finally be developed into a revenue-generating site. And then also look at some of the parking lots downtown that potentially through our parking authority could be developed as well. Thank you.
On to our fifth question, and this came from an email, and I'm going to read it verbatim. No opinion here. Ever since the county's proposal for affordable housing for families and seniors over a year ago, people who are opposed to the housing project have done everything in their power to stop the project before it even started. The divide puts our community on two sides where people with the strongest voices have silenced anyone who even slightly opposes them. As a council member, how do you fix this divide, but also work towards finding solutions to housing and equity in Millbrae? I repeat, as a council member, how do you fix this divide, but also work towards finding solutions to housing and equity in Millbrae? And we'll start with Anders Fung.
Thank you. I think listening is the most important thing because people felt that they're not being listened to. Do we have a need? We absolutely have a need in this community to help those who are less fortunate than all of us. In order for us to achieve functional zero homelessness in San Mateo County, it needs to start at every city. And every one of us need to do our fair share. And it's not about opposing La Quinta as much as protecting our city. And there is a solution in there somewhere that I have proposed multiple times publicly as to how to support the permanent supportive housing in Millbrae in a way that we can afford and in a way that makes sense for us. And those are the conversations that we need to have and continue to listen to our community so that we can ensure that we have a solution not just for some, but every one of us. And that's what we need. And that's what Millbrae needs today.
Thank you. Stephen Rainaldi.
Thanks, Kathy. La Quinta united this whole city. Over the last 6 months, I've canvassed over 3 different districts speaking with people who cite La Quinta as being their #1 concern. One of my fellow colleagues here mentioned that protecting the budget would mean fighting projects like La Quinta. And our economic corridor only includes 10% of zoning of our land. And La Quinta provides quite an economic spur to us, about $750,000 a year, plus the additional cost of emergency services, having 2 additional deputy sheriffs, will put us close to over $1 million a year in the hole. Millbrae is not against affordable housing. We offered other locations that wouldn't have that economic burden, but the county turned us down. We went even as far as finding another hotel with the same amount of rooms for half the cost, but yet the county turned us down again. Now, we're for doing smart housing and trying to build as many affordable units as possible, which is evident by the 97 units we
Thank you,
propose to
Stephen.
build on Broadway. Thank you.
Ruben Holober?
Thank you. I think as was just referenced, the Planning Commission recently approved a project with nearly as many units as the La Quinta that is 100% affordable housing next to the Millbrae Pancake House. So I think we are all in agreement in wanting to provide affordable housing to Millbrae, but to do it without jeopardizing our hotel tax and hotel revenue. I would look at also amending our inclusionary housing ordinance. It's currently set at a 15% requirement for affordable units on site for new developments. With the RENA requirements that are heavily disproportionately at the low and very low income level, I don't think that's going to be sufficient to meet our targets, and I'd like to see that bumped up to at least 20% or more going forward. Thank you.
You Xue?
When you watch the safety video before you take a flight, they say you put on your own oxygen mask before helping others, and that's what Millbrae needs to do. Our residents may be rich, but City Hall is broke. We're so broke. We have hiring freeze at City Hall. Our city staff is being pressured to do so much. We barely have the bandwidth to handle our own city issues. We don't have the bandwidth to handle dealing with putting in permanent supportive housing. And permanent supportive housing requires so much more active management than I think the question asker has described. So I respectfully will have to disagree with the characterization that the question asker put forth. I echo what my opponent and my colleague here said regarding our work building affordable housing. Millbrae has built affordable housing. Gateway Project, Office Depot, 10% affordable housing. Pancake House, 10% very low income, 68% low income, 20% moderate income. We've built at the El Rancho Inn, 5% very low income. We've built we've built affordable housing. I'm going to continue building affordable housing, and I hope people will get the facts straight.
Ghassan Shamieh?
It's so interesting to hear how each one of us answers the question differently. For me, the question was really about how do we unite the city? Because it feels that some of us in the community at large are in denial that there's a divide in this city, are in denial that there are voices who feel powerless. Councilwoman Schneider referenced it in the meeting last night via email she received from residents, that residents are afraid to speak out. To me, that's a problem. Yes, of course we need affordable housing. No, La Quinta was not the right project for Millbrae, but we need to move past and we need to heal. We need to make sure that people of all perspectives, of all opinions feel heard. That's why I'll hold bi-monthly listening sessions with the entire city, not just my district. People will know where I stand and I will be able to know where the community stands. And by having this open, transparent, clear communication, that's what's going to restore the trust. That's what's going to restore the unity. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. When we move to our sixth question, a little bit different line. There's limited parking along main streets in our neighborhoods as well as downtown, which is a daily and ongoing issue. What alternatives can you provide to project developers to ensure their projects will not add more congestion to our city? So the question is, what alternatives can you provide to project developers to ensure their projects don't add more congestion? And You Xue goes first.
Kathy, I believe this is question 7, right?
Well, that's to you, but to I had a 3A because I added in one from the audience.
Got it. A 3A, okay, got it. So this is, okay, got it. Sorry, I just wanted to clarify. Anyways, regarding how do we bring in development without increasing congestion, and The answer is we have to reduce dependence on private automobiles. Saying things like, oh, we're just going to change our road design, not really an option. I think building more parking is not necessarily the best way to use our very limited public land left. It might sound like I'm changing the topic here, but we just have to improve access to our transit. Millbrae is supposed to be a transit-oriented community. We have Caltrain, we have BART. We need to make it easier for people to access these stations. We need to, like I said, I wanted to pursue more pedestrian and bicyclist safety initiatives, and that's all that's the short-term goal. The long-term goal is to get people not to buy a car. If people aren't buying a car, then we won't be seeing this congestion and clogging of our parking spaces that the question asker is alluding to.
Ruben Holober.
Thank you for that. I think there are things that we can do, like working with developers on transit demand management plans as we're reviewing their projects. That being said, just to be honest with you, I don't think there's a perfect solution for this, unless, as my opponent mentioned, people just stop buying cars. We can do everything that we can that will help, I think, at a sort of an incremental level. We can focus our development, as I think we have, around the downtown and El Camino corridor. But ultimately, I don't think the answer is saying, you don't put in, you prohibit parking on site because it's just going to spill over elsewhere. I know they've tried to do that in San Francisco and other places. I would look at maybe a community facilities district for some of these areas of new developments to see if maybe they can pool together and fund some type of a transit shuttle or a last mile shuttle to connect people to the transit center if they're not nearly within walking distance. So I'd look at creative solutions like that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ghassan Shamieh.
I agree with what Mr. Holober just said, is that encouraging development near transportation hubs and ensuring that the people who live in these units have close access to public transportation. And a problem that our city has is we don't have any east and west public transportation. We have a lot of public transportation along El Camino, but what about east and west? What about the elderly folks who don't have access to El Camino, access to be able to drive themselves? My grandparents were not able to drive themselves before they passed away, and so they relied on family. But what about those without family? So there's a feasible way to bring back the Sunshine Bus that Mr. Quick had told me about months ago for Millbrae, for the elderly, for the mobile challenged folks to be able to access essential resources like Safeway, like the bank, like their neighborhood grocery store. And so these tangible solutions that rely solely on grants from transportation agencies can help resolve that.
Anders Fung.
Thank you. Millbrae has a plan for this. Millbrae is planning. We already have the parking authority already enacted, and we will be moving forward in investigating into strategy to using our city-owned parking lot and working with developers to build parking structures to ensure that we have sufficient parking resources throughout our downtown. And those parking resources will also be shared with newer developments. We will have local density bonus program that discourage on-site parking requirement on all these new developments and ask developers to contribute into parking trust funds to help build these structures. Millbrae is a transit-rich city, despite some might say. Enhancement could be made on our micromobility and last-mile connectivity to ensure success of mass transit for every one of our residents right here in our downtown. Thank you.
Stephen Rainaldi.
I agree with all the comments I'm hearing tonight, especially around transit and providing some type of shuttle service within Millbrae. I've had this discussion already with our city manager, Tom Williams, and it requires a funding source. We used to have public transportation that would go up and down the hill with Samtrans, but unfortunately a few years ago they took it away. And there are an elderly population here in Millbrae, about 20% of people that can't get to and from downtown. Now, I know we have Ubers, but some people are technically challenged. So I'd really like to see a shuttle service. More importantly, we are transit rich. So we need to make sure that our public transit is really efficient for people that live here. With these new developments, though, I will really tip my cap to the Planning Commission because 1301 Broadway wasn't required to have any parking. It fell underneath Senate Bill 35. And through our Planning Commission, they were able to guarantee 67 parking spots and also work with the developer to possibly and potentially up it to 80 if they put mechanical lifts in. Thank you.
On to my seventh question. Earlier this year, and again, I'm quoting from the email that I got. Earlier this year, the Social Equity Committee was abruptly disbanded by the city without just cause. This newly formed committee was created to help underrepresented community members find a voice and to help plan a vision for the city that gave everyone equitable access to resources. Do you believe Millbrae needs such a committee? Why or why not? And if not, how would you specifically address the social economic inequities that exist today? So the question is, do you believe Millbrae needs a committee like the Social Equity Committee? And why or why not? And we'll start with Ruben Holober.
You know, in 2023, before the La Quinta kind of took over everything, the council spent many hours discussing the formation of a potential social equity committee. And it was a committee that never ended up meeting. You know, I think while the recall was largely about the La Quinta project, I think on a deeper level, it may have been about certain types of, symbolic gestures that were brought up by the council, including this committee, including the land acknowledgement and things that were being discussed besides the business that I think the residents were expecting. So I would be in favor of regrouping that committee for maybe a limited time, perhaps a 6-month window, to try to provide recommendations that the council could then consider adopting formally. Thank you.
Ghassan Shamieh.
Millbrae is over 1/3 foreign born. We're a diverse population, and we should celebrate that. We should embrace that. And if there are segments of our population that feel that they're not experiencing equity in our city, then yes, we should address that. If that's in the form of the Social Equity Committee or something else, doesn't matter. But we need to make sure that our residents feel that they have equality in our own city. And with such a diverse population, with, again, over 1/3 population of Millbrae foreign born, this is a crucial matter because we want every resident to feel that they're a true part of this society, to feel that they have equality with their neighbors. So if this is the measure that we can take to protect and celebrate our diversity, then we should take it.
Anders Fung.
Thank you. It is true. 40% of our city are first-generation immigrants. And to answer the question, yes, I do believe there is a place in our city where social equity committee or commission should exist. The question at the end of the day is, what should they focus on? What policies should they be working on? And how resources should be allocated within this committee or commission so that they can be productive and focus on things that move our city forward, that brings people together. This cannot be and should never be a platform for political divisiveness. And I will want to make sure, moving forward, that this committee will work on and focus on things that enhance. In fact, you know, as a city, we're a minority majority city where nearly 60% of our populations are community of color. I'm one of them. And so should that exist in our city? Absolutely. The question is, we must focus that committee and commission on things that matters to all of us the most.
Stephen Rainaldi.
Yes, I believe we should revisit the committee and explore it. I know it was originally disbanded due to public safety. Members of the committee claimed that there were threats waged against them. And being that I'm one of the members who is endorsed by the Deputy Sheriff's Association, I'm really big on public safety. It's our jobs as council members, if I'm so fit to be elected to do so, to protect all residents regardless, even protecting their voice too. So I really do believe that there needs to be a revisit of the committee to see how we can apply it to be positive and be constructive for all residents, not just a few, and also ensure everyone's public safety. Thank you.
You Xue.
I think running any committee requires pragmatism, and it requires a purpose. I'll be honest, I don't know enough about the aims of this committee to be able to give a concrete yes or no answer, but I echo the words of all my colleagues sitting here, which is that Millbrae is such a diverse city. Our strength comes from our diversity. We would never intend nor want a certain demographic or group of people to feel ostracized in the course of city business. However, the city of Millbrae has a very limited bandwidth, and we want to make sure that any committees that we do establish are helping either our city council have more perspective, helping us achieve greater efficiency, or helping us meet our goals. And if there's something that is falling short of that, then we either need to revisit the sort of founding documents of that committee or disband them altogether. So I'm going to withhold a concrete answer until I know more about the aims of this committee. Thank you.
Short and sweet. How would you revitalize downtown? How would you revitalize downtown? And we'll start with Ghassan Shamieh.
I think one of the things I spoke about earlier applies to this question too, is utilizing vacant spaces to promote small business ownership within our community. Instead of penalizing those landlords, give them incentives to bring in pop-up shops that hopefully will turn into something more concrete. I also want to acknowledge that we have a Chamber of Commerce and we have an Economic Vitality Committee within our city. And so working with all stakeholders, working with our small businesses, and after spending a lot of time talking to them, they all say that they would like help. That while Beats and Brews was a great idea, it doesn't necessarily bring in customers for people to dine within their restaurants. And so getting creative with other sort of ideas to incentivize people to visit Millbrae businesses, spend their money here, is crucial. And we should also make sure that new developments like the biotech headquarters coming in, that those office people spend their money, spend their lunches and their happy hours in Millbrae. And so when they do that, everybody thrives.
Thank you. You Xue.
Say it with me. BID. We have to have a business improvement district. The reality is that City Hall has not been able to accomplish what they've said they wanted to accomplish. There has been no unified leadership of specifically our downtown merchants. I can tell you that. I'm the only one up here who can tell you that as a matter of fact, because I've been living that experience for the past 9 years. We very much have to fend for ourselves. Downtown is more like, 100 separate businesses rather than people working together towards some common goal. So it starts with a vision. My vision is, improving our parking situation, having more diverse businesses come in, have more collaboration and leadership. And once we have a vision, then we'll follow in the footsteps of Burlingame and San Mateo. I think Millbrae deserves the best businesses. Millbrae needs to capture the revenue, and Millbrae needs to create a unified business environment. It's not just about our downtown. We have businesses on El Camino. We have businesses, new businesses at Gateway. We're going to create a unified business environment in Millbrae where everybody can thrive.
Thank you. Stephen Rainaldi.
I agree with my other colleagues, especially Yo-Yo, in regards to a business improvement district. Many people complain about how downtown is filthy, especially on the sidewalks. I think having that joint partnership of property owners and business owners to vote on spending funds to clean the sidewalks and make it more cleanliness for people to come down there and attract them would be helpful. Potentially putting in benches, holiday lighting, all things to drive people in and make it a more welcoming environment. I'm firm on paid parking because I believe it'll help turn over parking spots to allow more people to come in and do shopping with those vendors and generate more tax revenue. And more importantly, we have El Camino Real corridor. And according to our plan for El Camino, we have plenty of surface level parking. This is our commercially zoned land, which we're really challenged. Most cities are zoned with 40% commercial, 60% residential, not Millbrae. Most of our commercial land was given to SFO years back, so we only have 10%. We need to maximize that zoning.
Thank you. Ruben Holober.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with my opponent about setting up a business improvement district. I think that's the most important thing that can be done. Outreach was done to many of the property owners around 2018 and 2019, and then the pandemic hit, and everyone was sort of fending for themselves at that point, and the effort faded away. My understanding is that they've begun to conduct that outreach again. I think that needs to continue. And we also have a brand-new board for the Chamber of Commerce, as was mentioned, and we need to get them activated more on policy issues and not just on the events that they hold, like the Art and Wine, but to have them be more of a stakeholder in the Business Improvement District and efforts to improve our downtown. Thank you.
And Anders Fung.
Thank you. This is not a 60-second question, but I'm going to try because it's more than one. Yes, BID is important, but that's not the only thing. We need a local density bonus program that incentivizes development, that changes our downtown, that promotes affordable by design mixed-use development, housing and commercial, and spaces that will create that people can live and entertain and work in our downtown like an urban village. We need to create Millbrae as the destination. There need to be attractions that brings people into Millbrae Thursday night, Friday evening, Saturday evening. They want to be here because this is Millbrae. Millbrae is a city of festival. It helps promote Millbrae. Continue to enhance our public safety so that people feel safe in our city. We need new parking strategy so that people can find parking and be here and go to the places that they want to go. Enhance our chamber, which we already started doing, and that gives us better representation of our small businesses. And yes, BID is important. That's why last night we just renewed our New City America contract to ensure this gets done early next year.
Thank you. And I think we have time for one more question before we go to closing statements. And in my professional life, when I interviewed someone for a position, not only would I interview them on their technical qualifications and knowledge, I would always ask them this question: what is your superpower? What is the quality that you're going to bring to the position of council member that is going to make you unique and add value? And we'll start with Stephen Rainaldi. What's your superpower?
My superpower is that I'm a great listener, and that's how I've learned along the way over the last 2 years. I've had plenty of former elected officials as well as current elected officials that I've listened to, and I've learned so much. Learned about how great our community is. I've learned about all the great plans and future we have in Millbrae, and hopefully I'll be elected into District 1 so I can fulfill those plans because I want to see a brighter Millbrae. Thank you.
Anders Fung.
The skill to listen. The last 4 years, it's a great learning experience and it's a great journey that I get to knock on doors, talk to every folks, whether it's Safeway, Starbucks, walking down the street of Broadway, just listening to folks, because you know best. All of you know more than I do as to what the city needs. I hope to have an opportunity to speak through your voice to help enhance the city that we all love, that we all live together in this beautiful city. And I think that's the power that you all bring to this organization, to this institution of a city, and continue enhancing it. And I'd love to be your voice for the next 4 years. And that's the power we need to bring.
You Xue.
I think my superpower is, I was going to say my typing speed, which you should see sometime. But I think it's probably my work ethic. I work 18 hours a day. You know, I hardly sleep. And that's why I have these eye bags. I work hard for what I want to achieve. And like I mentioned earlier for question 3 or 3A or 3B, I'm all about delivering goals. When I set goals for myself, or in this case for the city, I do whatever it takes to achieve that. Whether it's reaching out, making phone calls, traveling to meetings, making sure that I have FaceTime with people. And in just 1 week, I knocked on 1,300 doors. You guys, everyone in District 3 saw me. I was at each and every door, working in the 100-degree heat. No problem. I put on the sunscreen and I go do it. And I think that work ethic is going to be 1/5 of the solution to getting the things that we've always wanted to get done in Millbrae.
Thank you. Ghassan Shamieh.
I think my superpower is being able to bridge the gap between different communities, between different perspectives, between different opinions. In my career, there's an attorney on the other side of the table who is diametrically opposed to my client and my client's interests. But yet we find ways to communicate. We find ways to establish a path towards resolution of any given particular case. And as one of the questions earlier highlighted, we are at a point in Millbrae where we need to bridge that gap, where we need to heal. And so my superpower would help us address a core issue that we need to fix before Millbrae gets even more further apart. Thank you.
And Ruben Holober.
Thank you. I think if I have a superpower that I bring to this office, I think it's humility. You know, we're all sitting up here at the dais, but at the end of the day, we're all Millbrae residents. We're not any better or any worse than anyone else here in this community. We're all part of the same community. So I think having that mindset, knowing that while we have a leadership position, at the end of the day, we're representative of the members of this community. We have to be able to listen to them. We have to be able to build consensus. We have to listen to our stakeholders and eventually make decisions that maybe not everybody will be happy about, but that we feel is in the best interest of this community going forward. Thank you.
All right, thank you, candidates. We're going to do closing statements. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for a closing statement, and we'll reverse the order from that of the opening statements, which means that Ruben Holober will go first.
Thank you. Thank you again to the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum. Voters will be selecting council members in Districts 1 and 3, and I applaud my fellow candidates for stepping up to serve our community. I love Millbrae. This is my hometown. It's been a special place for me and my family, and I'd like it to stay that way for generations to come. Millbrae is in an unprecedented position with 4 council seats turning over in the period of a few months. I'm running because we need someone with experience who can step in and restore stability to the council. I believe that I've demonstrated through my record of leadership that I'm effective at carefully managing growth while listening to community concerns. I have the knowledge and steady-handedness to keep a watchful eye on our finances and provide vital public safety services. And I have the temperament and collaborative approach to bring our community together after the recall. I believe that Millbrae's best days are ahead of us. There are many projects underway, and experienced, stable leadership is necessary to achieve long-term goals. I've enjoyed going door to door and meeting voters, listening to resident ideas and concerns. I'm proud to have been endorsed by Congressman Kevin Mullen, Senator Josh Becker, Assemblymember Diane Pepin, Mayor Fung, and 8 former Millbrae mayors, and scores of elected officials, education, business, labor, and civic leaders, including many of the leaders of the grassroots effort to stop the La Quinta project. Serving as your council member and mayor was a tremendous honor for me. I respectfully ask you for your vote to return to the council. For more information, please visit my website, rubenholober.com. Thank you, and have a good night.
Thank you. Stephen Rainaldi.
Thank you, Kathy. And thank you to League of Women's Voters for putting on this event tonight and giving us all the opportunity to listen to each and every candidate speak. It is with an engaged community like this, we can make the best choices to lead us forward into the future. And a special thank you to all the candidates who stepped forward to participate in tonight's forum. Regardless of how this election plays out, you've shown the courage and dedication to step forward and willfully serve our quickly growing community. Being that Millbrae is the fastest growing city in the peninsula, we can all see more change on the horizon. This can be both exciting and concerning. But if my last 43 years of experience has taught me anything, it is that Millbrae has a bright future ahead of it as long as its community focuses on the factors which unite it rather than the outside factors that divide it. You have my commitment that if I'm blessed to serve on the council, I will continue to do my research, to understand each issue, continue to work with the community. I'm also proud to have the endorsements of the entire City Council, Deputy Sheriff's Association, our Assembly Member Diane Pepin, former Senator Jerry Hill, the working men and women here, including laborers, teachers, and business owners, and everyone that makes Millbrae special. To put it simply, I love Millbrae. And most importantly, I'll serve as an elected leader for all who listens to all their constituents and governs by consensus. Thank you for your consideration, everyone, and have a wonderful night.
Thank you. Anders Fung.
I just want to take a moment to remind all of us, that we're living in a time of extraordinary change at record-setting pace. These changes are reshaping the way we live, we work, and interact with one another. And with changes come promises for our city future and opportunities for growth. And as we continue to look forward to invest our city in new TOD project, new life science opportunities, job creations, downtown transformations, housing opportunities for all, and more regional public safety resources and new ordinances to keep our city safer. We're talking about making changes that benefit not you and me necessarily, but our future generations. And as we look ahead, our vision for Millbrae remains clear and focused. Make no mistake about it, we must control our own destiny. We will continue making positive progress, driven by a commitment to our community. And as many of you already knew, we already had a tumultuous year. But through all the chaos and all the events, our community grew stronger and more united. We got more engaged, and more people are standing up for what's right for us. And more people are getting more educated about our civic duties and responsibilities. And these are the essential qualities for positive change. And that's why I'm more hopeful than I've ever been about the future of our city, not because of me, but because of you. I'm forever grateful to have the privilege to serve you as your mayor and your council member. And with all of you as passionate as you are and as engaging as you all are, I know the better days are still ahead of us. Thank you, all of you, and I hope to earn your vote, and I look forward to serving you all for 4 more years. Thank you.
Thank you. Ghassan Shamieh.
Throughout this campaign, my focus has been clear: collaboration, transparency, and a commitment to unifying our city. As a father and lifelong Millbrae resident, I know firsthand the strengths and challenges of our community. I seek to be thoughtful and inclusive, and I'm committed to healing the divisions that have emerged over recent years. I'm proud of the campaign we've run, one built on honesty, transparency, positivity. And despite the misinformation campaigns going on against me, I've stayed focused on running a quality campaign that reflects the values of truth and respect. I believe that candidates should be elected based on the qualities they possess and not elected based on how much misinformation is being manufactured against them. I believe that a city council campaign should be about a vision for a community, not personal attacks. And that's why I've remained committed to discussing the real issues that matter to you and to our city. Over the past few months, I've had the privilege of connecting with countless neighbors in deeply personal and meaningful ways. I've sat down with families at their kitchen tables, listened as parents expressed their worries about the rising costs and futures of their children. And I've been welcomed into neighbors' homes to hear firsthand the issues that affect their daily lives and their concerns for public safety. These moments have been more than just part of a campaign. They've been powerful reminders of the strength and resilience of our community. Hearing your stories, seeing your pride in your neighborhood, and sharing your hopes for a brighter future has only deepened my commitment to serve. Together, we can move past the division and focus on a future where Millbrae is thriving, safe, and united. I'm asking for your trust and support so we can build a better Millbrae for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. You Xue.
Thank you, Kathy. I would first like to thank the League of Women Voters for their hard work organizing, hosting, and moderating this forum tonight. I also really enjoyed spending my Wednesday night with Ghassan, Steve, and my best friends, Ruben and Anders. Sorry. This is part of the democratic process, and that's why I really appreciate everybody being here, the candidates, the moderators, the audience at home. I hope the public has had an opportunity to better understand the leadership experience and governing philosophy that I would employ to help move Millbrae forward. Because that's what I think it's all about. It's about taking Millbrae into this next chapter of our city's history. You can trust everyone on this dais to care for our city and to work passionately for its best interests. But with Millbrae growing at an unprecedented pace, I think we need new voices, new perspective, new energy, and new spirit to guide us in the coming years. We also should be focusing on advancing good ideas, not on sowing drama or disagreement between our council members or between our residents. I think I'm the best person to deliver that for my community. I'm going to bring our residents together, our entire city together, around initiatives that we can all agree on. We agree on renewing our downtown, protecting our residents, and keeping Millbrae a fantastic place to live and raise a family. If anyone has unanswered questions about my campaign and my priorities, please feel free to reach out to me. Give me a call, send me a text. I hope to speak with you, and I hope to earn your support and your vote in this year's election. Thank you.
All right, thank you, candidates. First, I wanted to mention to all of you that the submitted questions, whether asked or not, remain the property of the League of Women Voters. They are never given to the press or other third parties and will be destroyed after the forum. You can find additional information about the candidates on the League's Vote 411 website. That's vote411.org. The candidates have been asked to upload their information to that website, so it's a good source for your any of the measures that are on your ballot as well. And let's see. And one last promotion for the League of Women Voters. We're a nonpartisan political organization, and membership is open to all people ages 16 years of age and up. If you're interested in helping your community with forums such as this or other activities that encourage civic education and involvement, we have brochures over here. We also have the Easy Voter Guide. We have copies of the League's proposition pros and cons. That is also a good source of information. And of course, we want you to remember to vote on Tuesday, November 5th, and encourage others to vote as well. You should have gotten your ballots in the mail already. And October 21st is the last day to register and get a non-provisional ballot. Note that you can register to vote up to the day before the election, but you will have to submit a provisional ballot. So, now in conclusion, please join me in applauding and thanking the candidates for coming this evening and running for the seat. Good job. Good job. Thank you, everyone, for coming.